Hello and welcome everyone to another video here. Yes, this is the Ginger Below Show, where I have been sent to the basement in order to entertain myself. So, in order to entertain myself, I'm going to entertain all of you. Not alone tonight, though. We are going to entertain you in a gang tonight. So, I'd like to introduce my boys here who are going to help me tonight. We are going to do the top five horror movies. So basically, we're each going to pick five horror movies, our top five, each of us, and we're going to discuss each movie. I am Decomposed. We have from Letterbox Mr. Dulac. We have Master Gracie. And we have the YouTube celebrity Eternal Rogue here as well. Hello, boys. Welcome to the show. So I am going to bring up the chat. Just want to make sure that everybody is hearing this. Can we get an audio check to make sure everybody's hearing everybody? Can I hear all of you too? Can we hear the other people too, or just me? We can hear Kev. Well, that's the important part, right? Right. All right, so let me just see here. Can you guys bring up your volume a little bit? See if that makes a difference. Stream audio. Let's see. This better? Can you guys hear better? Talk away, guys, so to make sure they can hear you. That's good. That's always a plus. Push those buttons. Seems a little muffled on their end. Hmm. Well, that's not good. It's weird. I can hear you perfectly. Okay. Try something here. Right, guys, try it now. Better? Mr. Do like Frozen? Or are you just staring into my soul? I don't know. Oh, we should do like. Where did fucking do like go? Insane. All right. All right, let me try to get this back up. Give me a sec. Mm. All right. Let's see. Guys, can you try talking? It's true.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. How about now, guys? Sound better? I can hear you guys louder now, personally, but
And
I can.
yeah, should yeah.
You can hear? Yeah? We're good? Yes. All right. Note to self. Keep those settings. All right. So we're back. Hello. Welcome. Guys, let's do this. So this was the Master Gracie's idea, actually. So I will give credit where credit is due. No one has ever done a top 5 list, ever in the history of ever. So yeah. So actually that's really cool. Cool idea, and this will transcend to other stuff, right? Not just movies. This can be anything. This can be comic books. This can be your favorite top 5 color. It can be anything at all. Spoiler alert, mine blue. All right. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to go each of us basically say what our number 5 is, what our number 4 is, number 3, number 2, up to number 1, and then we'll discuss each movie as we go through it. So we'll start, since it was your idea, Master Gracie, you may start us off with the your number 5 pick in your top 5 horror movies. What? It was me? What did I do? What did I do? What a great thing. Let me check something here. Try again, Steven. Sorry, Master Gracie. Holy fuck. Uh, let's do code names. Yeah, that'll be cool. Fuck. Jesus Christ. Yeah. I'm just thinking about G.I. Joe now. Give me Baroness. No, no, no. It's blah blah blah. Can't hear you? All this is just crappy. Like, I can hear you guys perfectly. We can hear each other. Like, it's broadcasting. There's nothing. I didn't change anything at all. Like, you just went out. Like, all right. Well, the show must go on. So hopefully you'll come back.
I'm thinking it's picking up in your mic.
In me? You mean?
Yeah. Because you're super clear and we're muffled, so it's probably picking up the audio from your mic. She wants me to talk again. Oh, she can hear me now.
All right. So let's keep
Don't
going.
change anything.
I'm not touching anything. That's it. I'm done. Let's sit here with Spidey. Come here, Spidey. Tell me stories. All right, keep going. The birds.
All right. So for those who didn't hear, my number 5 is The Birds by Alfred Hitchcock. So what I was saying, it's the movies. The horror part of it for me is the dread. So the whole movie, you're not hearing, like in a normal movie, you have like, think about a movie like Jaws, where you have that music, you know something's gonna happen. Friday the 13th, you know something's about to happen. You hear that music, but with the birds, there's no soundtrack. The only sound you're hearing is what's going on in nature and the actual birds themselves. So to me, like especially the first time I watched that, it's that complete dread of what the hell is about to happen. And obviously, they kill people, so it's kind of scary and stuff. But I love Alfred Hitchcock movies. He's probably my favorite director. So I obviously think quite highly of him.
Dead silence.
So Brian, I will allow you to rebuttal first.
Yeah, we're all waiting for Brian to complain.
Since we know how much you love the birds.
How could anybody watch that with a bunch of birds? I could go to the beach and watch something more exciting than that stupid movie of watching birds flying around. Like, the most exciting thing was when they flew and they attacked a phone booth. Like, how could people enjoy this piece of crap? Like, apparently the attention excitement back in the 1920s was a lot more exciting than it is today, because oh my gosh, I could sleep through that movie. It was so horrible. It's the only movie in life I've ever shut off, and I could never complete. It was so bad.
I find that so fucking hard to believe because I know the garbage you watch. Oh my god.
So before we actually did this, just to tell you guys, we were talking about movies and all that, and Eternal Rogue is giving us a list of movies, which were all from Asylum Film. And if you know Asylum, they do stuff like, like Shark Virus and King Kong versus Godzilla, but it's not King Kong, it's not Godzilla. So yeah. But they're good movies. You know what? I'm going to tell you one thing right now. I'm kind of with Brian on this one. Sorry, Eternal Rogue. I'm not a huge fan of the birds either.
I love the birds.
I've only
awesome.
seen it once though. So you like the birds. So does anybody else have it on their list?
No. It could have
You don't
been
like it that much.
It's not on your top 5 list of every single horror movie ever made, so you can't like it that much.
Well, no, of course. That's what it means. It's a top 5. All right. So the birds, number 5. So Eternal Rogue, what's your number 5?
All right. Yeah, I had to break it down a lot too, because yes, I like shitty B movies a lot, but I had to put my list on the amount of times I've rewatched these horror movies. So my number 5 is actually normal. It's 28 Days Later. To me, it invigorated and it made a change to the zombie movies, because it made fast zombies. They weren't really zombies, but you could kind of think of them as zombies because, they had a disease and they would run at you and they had the bloody eyes. And to me, it just was really good. It was kind of creepy at the beginning, where he just woke up in the hospital, kind of like Walking Dead started off. And he's walking through the empty city of London and nothing's there. And eventually you start seeing there's all these things chasing him, and you see like newspaper clippings and turned over buses. And the movie just kind of progressed where it's one of those survival ones, but it was done so much differently at the time than regular zombie movies.
Yeah, I really like
not
that
on my
too,
list.
because it reminded me a lot of the birds. Not quite as good, but
I actually like 28 Days Later for the exact reason why Eternal Rogue is saying because the zombies were quick. Because you guys know zombies literally freak me out for real. And then the fact that they were actually going quick, so you totally lost that advantage of being able to run away from them, like really was freaky. Cillian Murphy's awesome too. And Missy Leger just said that 28 Days Later is a great choice.
Unlike
One for
Eternal
me.
Rogue, I'm not going to shit on his choice. I think 28 Days Later is actually a good movie. It wouldn't be in my top 5. It's not in my top 5. But I think you're right as far as reinvigorating zombie movies, because you had the original zombie movie, 1968, and then you had a whole lot of crap, and then you had 28 Days Later, and then someone finally realized, hey, we could do something with this, and now we have Walking Dead.
Yeah, well, there was a good movie after Night of the Living Dead.
Dawn of the
Dawn of
Dead.
Dead, Day of the Dead.
28
Even
weeks.
Zombie, a fucking zombie fighting a shark. Like that's cinema. Mr. Dulac, what are your thoughts on 28 Days Later?
No, I really like 28 Days Later.
Yeah, I did too. It's a really good movie. All right, so Mr. Dulac, you're number 5.
So my number 5 and 4, and maybe 3 weren't exactly in order. Like I knew what was 1 and 2. So I just put them in this order, and this is purely coincidence. So my number 5 is actually the 1968 Night of the Living Dead. But
Good choice.
depending on the time of year you asked me, that could switch to like Dawn of the Dead instead, or. But I think I might have watched Night of the Living Dead more than Dawn of the Dead. I'm not sure. Like sometimes I'll be watching it in the living room, and Miss Dulac will be in the other room, and she'll hear a line, and she's like, "Are you watching Night of the Living Dead again?"
So what do you think about the
Because
recolorization?
I have never watched it. I have no inkling in watching it at all. What I think a lot of people forget about Night of the Living Dead is how well made, how well paced. Like it starts out, you just have these freaks attacking people. Like modern day zombies didn't exist yet, and the way it's paced out, like they find it's the dead coming back to life, and then there's a scene in the movie where it's like, holy shit, they realize they're eating people. And then they realize if you eat just a bite will infect you and you'll die and you're going to become a zombie. Like it all builds up to the end, and that fucking ending is it stays with you. Like you think everything's going to be okay, and then those fucking hillbillies show up. Fucking white people, they always ruin everything.
It's true.
It's true, and that movie, like the ending, like you said, you're like, oh, why? It's just
Yeah,
depressing.
and then they're just the pictures over their credits. It's making you think back of like the lynchings and supposedly like George Romero said he didn't even realize the significance of casting his main actor being black. He just cast the best actor that was available. He didn't even realize the impact it would have. And an honor, yeah, and an honorable mention would be that like usually remakes suck, but I find the 1990 remake directed by Tom Savini is really good. Don't know if you guys have watched it or not.
I've seen it. Yeah, it is. It
Years
is good.
ago. I probably should rewatch it. Like it's probably been about 15, 20 years.
It's surprisingly good, but that one probably had the advantage of George Romero was actually involved in making it.
Cool. Very good. Oh, so it's me now. My number 5 from 1972 is Last House on the Left.
Wes Craven.
Wes Craven, Sean Cunningham, Tobe Hooper. So you have all the forefathers of all the big like horror icons. Freddy, Jason, Leatherface. So I really enjoyed the movie. It's a bit like a, I don't know, some people have a hard time watching it because of the content, but I always loved it, and I love the fact that those three were involved in it.
I gotta say, it's a good choice. It's. I remember watching that the first time. That's like one of those visceral movies. Like it's really. I get what you mean. It can be hard to watch for people because it's brutal, is what it is. Like
It
it's a
feels
lot like
it
can't get
feels
all
like it,
in those types of movies.
yeah, it feels like you're seeing something you shouldn't be seeing.
Yeah.
All right, so let's keep on going. Master Gracie, number 4.
So my number 4 is going to be a very quick conversation because we have covered it. It's Night of the Living Dead. I'll just say for mostly the same reasons as Mr. Dulac, I just really love that movie. It's honestly one that I can put on pretty much any time and it'll take my attention. Like it's not I find it's one of those movies that a lot of times you can put a movie on and you've seen it before and you kind of just focus on other stuff. But with Night of the Living Dead, for some reason, it just grabs my attention. The whole thing, it's like you said, it's really paced really well. So there's not a lot of those like lulls. Like it just keeps going. Awesome, awesome movie.
It's weird to a movie that old, and you still have like Barbara's coming. They're coming to get you. Like you still hear that today.
Well, just imagine what it started. And it's still going now.
Yeah, it is. It is good. Eternal Rogue, what are your thoughts on Night of the Living Dead?
I didn't even know there was a black and white version until like years ago. I only knew the colorized one. And then one time I was watching and I was like, it's black and white. I barely see it. And I'm like, what the hell is this? I thought something was broken on it. So then I like looked. I'm like, oh shit!
Yeah,
It's their original was in black and white. So yeah, I didn't even know that they had a black and white version. So I like the colorized version better because I don't know. I just saw a lot more to it.
I think actually I saw the colorized version before I saw the 1991 before I saw the original. Very good.
To stay on topic, has everyone here watched the last drive-in with Joe Bob Briggs?
Yeah.
So the new season coming up, their first episode is going to be they're going to be showing. It's going to be their 100th episode, and there's rumors that the movie's going to be Night of the Living Dead.
Nice.
Because they had mentioned that during the chat, what movie could we show for the 100th episode, and someone mentioned Night of the Living Dead, and they were like, well, it's in public domain, we could probably pull that off. So
That's still alive in it.
I think it's coming up this month. Still alive. Yes.
Is there?
I think so. I vaguely remember seeing something. Is it possible that Johnny's still alive? The thing is, they're all unknown actors, so we have no idea if they're dead or alive.
All right, so Eternal Rogue, what's your number 4?
Probably not on anybody's list, but it's going to be the Blob, but not the original. I actually enjoyed the '88 version better. Um, for some reason, I enjoyed the characters better. The storyline's roughly the same, but I like the effects in it. I like the characters in it. They were all kind of, I don't know, they all had their own personalities a lot more, I found, than the original. But I don't know, I just found it was really fun to watch. I can watch it over and over again. The effects were really good, like the blob slime effects when they were eating and dissolving people were really well done. I don't know, I just like movies that just have a lot of good flash that can, make it look really gory, like, grabbing somebody and pulling them into the sink. Like stuff like that's always fun.
I'll admit, I actually like the remake. I wouldn't argue that it's better than the original. One thing the remake doesn't have, it doesn't have a theme song like the original movie. The original movie has a killer theme song. It's amazing.
I'm a fan of the original myself. I think it was 1958 or something like that. It's just a really. It was during that time of B movies, but this one, unlike a lot of the other ones from the 1950s, was done well. Whereas a lot of the other ones were just complete crap. So they found a way to still have like that B movie, monster movie type thing, but it was just done well. And I really love the old version with Steve McQueen.
Yeah, and despite the campy theme song, the movie pretty much, yeah, it is. The movie pretty, like you said, the movie, it's not just done well. The movie plays it. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but it takes itself more seriously than the other B movies of the time.
Yeah.
Is Kevin frozen?
No, I'm just
I mean,
answering some questions.
DCompose.
I only ever saw the remake. The Blob is actually one of those movies that I put on par with zombie movies that actually really like disturb me. The idea of being like digested alive by this globule substance. And plus I have flashbacks of high school with my chemistry teacher always talking about that movie. Oh, the amoeba, it's an amoeba, it's an amoeba. So yeah, that movie actually really freaked me out. This kind of like the stuff did the same type of thing.
Who directed the Blob remake?
I don't know offhand. I can find out. I can use the interwebs.
Chuck
And
Russell.
wildlife.
He did Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
Ah,
Okay. Cool. All right, Mr. Dulac, number 4.
number 4. Mine is technically a remake as well. It's John Carpenter's The Thing from 1982. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it. It's quite obscure among horror fans. Doing a top 5 is hard, but I find picking one favorite movie from John Carpenter is almost just as hard. But I think this one, even though I think I've watched Halloween more than I've watched The Thing, I think this might be my favorite of his films, of his horror films. Then, anyways, I mean just the practical effects are fucking amazing. This was made like 40 years ago. This is like his 40th anniversary this year. And the cast is insane. You've got that Quaker Oats guy, fucking Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell's always amazing. And what's cool about, like, well, I'm not gonna say anything no one's never heard about the movie. It's like what's cool about the movie is like not just the practical effects, but how paranoid. Like the whole movie is so paranoid, and rarely do you have horror movies that will, like, if you if you rewatch the movie now, you already know how it's end. But if you put yourself in the mind frame that you've never seen this movie before, if you watch the movie, you suspect Kurt Russell's character of being the Thing just as much as the other characters. Like, they go out of their way of not showing where Kurt Russell is just as much as the other characters, and rarely would a horror movie have the balls to do that now, which is probably one of the reasons why the movie originally bombed at the box office, but it lived on. I know it's...
I love that movie.
Yeah.
I almost put that in my top 5. Like, I was going to mention some honorable mentions later on, and that 100% is one that I wanted to talk about.
It still holds up to this day.
Your thoughts, Eternal Road?
I love that movie. Just everything about it, from the characters, the cast, to you don't know who is the Thing. what is going on. Like it's just so well done. And then you see them going out there isolated. They go try and find out more about it by going to the Norwegian station. It's all burnt down. They find a ship in the ice. They don't know what to do. It's like even the music was good, like where they had like that dum dum dum, and they're saying it's like the heartbeat of the alien. You could like anytime it like comes into scene, you can hear that specific music. Like Carpenter has awesome music for all of his movies. Like he knows what to pick for it, and that movie just makes you always think. And I rewatched that movie I don't know how many times. You're always trying to figure out who got infected when, you know, who like how many are infected at a time. You're looking at the scenes, they're all standing around a fire, and you're wondering, okay, some of them are human, some of them aren't human. Like it just got this huge paranoia feel, and it's so much fun to watch just to try and figure out. And right, the casting was amazing for it.
Yeah, amazing cast, amazing movie. It was good. It's one of those movies too, the types that disturb me. The whole body snatcher thing.
There's a theme going on tonight.
There's a lot of things that disturb me.
Probably clown movies next.
Oh, that's the top of the line. That's the worst of the worst. Greatly disturb me. All right, so my number 4 was Evil Dead, which is a great movie. I love everything about it.
I fucking hate that movie.
Yeah, I can tell by your background. Bruce Campbell is awesome. Sam Raimi is awesome. So, I mean, you can't get any better than that. They did a hell of a good job with the budget they had. And to this day, it's still freaky. When you go on like Evil Dead 2 and Evil Dead 3, it gets more funny, more campy. But the original one was actually made to be a horror movie, and it was pretty scary.
I'll go one further for you. It's not just a great movie, it's a great franchise. I love
100%.
all of the Evil Dead movies. You're right, I love Bruce Campbell. I've read his books. He's awesome. Sam Raimi's done amazing movies since then, but Evil Dead is my favorite Sam Raimi movie.
So it kind of started the careers of Raimi and Billy Campbell. More in the limelight.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
All right. Master Gracie, number 3.
So I'll be perfectly honest, my top 3 are complete.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
he did. It's like we're left in suspense.
Is he frozen?
Yep. Or he's holding it. Pause.
He looks like
you're back.
Magneto.
Oh, he's back.
You're there. For my number 3 today, I'm gonna go with Nightmare on Elm Street, the original, 1984 by Wes Craven. To be perfectly honest, Freddy Krueger is the reason why I like horror movies. 100%. It's all from Freddy Krueger. I saw Nightmare on Elm Street 5 when I was 5 years old and way too young. And then I was banned from watching horror movies for a couple of years. And then when I was finally allowed to watch them again, I went to the original. I went to Nightmare 1. And it was just, that was it. I knew this is what I like. I love horror movies. The thing about that movie that really got me, especially when I was probably about 7 or 8 when I saw it, when you actually think of it, it's really terrifying to think that, unlike most slasher movies where realistically you can get in a plane, get in a car, get in a boat, you can get away from these people, you can't get away from falling asleep at some point. Your back's against the wall. There's nothing you can do. At some point, you're going to have to fall asleep, and you're going to have to do something about this. It really, again, I was 8 years old, 7, 8, whatever. Like that really stuck with me. And since then, yeah, like Freddy's my number 1 guy. Sorry, Kevin.
I have no issues with Freddy.
I'm going to agree with him. Freddy's my number 1 guy. I remember watching him. He was my first, I guess you would say, series horror villain where I'd want to watch every movie that came out. I was young, but I wanted to see everyone as they came out because it made me intrigued. I loved this character. It was something really different. You're right. You can't, people try not to sleep. You try being younger and you try not to sleep. Hell, that's not an easy task. And he was just this different character, and he was so fun. And as he's evolved, he's definitely got a lot more comical. And I kind of like the comical Freddy. I don't know if I like comical or scary Freddy more, but I think I'm more comical Freddy. But definitely number one was definitely a good jumping off point to start my career in horror as well, just like Steven said.
They both have like the scary Freddy and the funny Freddy both have their positives. Like I being a horror fan, I love the scary stuff, but I'm still a fan of the other stuff they did later on too. Sure, it's not maybe as good like cinematically, but they're still fun.
Yeah, I love Nightmare on Elm Street too. I think I've argued with Decompose a few times about which Nightmare on Elm Street is the best films and what order they go in, because I rank the first one number one because I find he's not as funny, but he's fucking much more disturbing. He's a nasty piece of shit in the first film. And I think and what's rare is that my favorite Nightmare film after that one is probably A New Nightmare.
No.
Because for the same reasons as one, he's a nasty piece of shit again, and Wes Craven came in and fucking reinvented it. He found something new to do with him, which wasn't fucking something stupid like the final Nightmare. But I still fucking love 3, 4, even 5. Fuck it, every single one, like even Freddy's Dead. I still love those movies, but in order.
I'm with you though. Like my favorite Freddy movies are the 3 that Wes Craven was involved in, 1, 3, and 7.
Yeah.
Like those, if I'm only gonna watch a couple of them, like if I'm going through the series, those are the 3 I watch, 1, 3, 7.
And they make a nice trilogy.
Yeah.
There's no fucking way you're gonna stay quiet on this one, Decompose.
He likes the remake.
I'm not going to comment on this because maybe I have a Nightmare on Elm Street on my list.
Oh, that would make sense.
I will digress, and we will continue on. Eternal Rogue, the floor is yours. Number 3.
I had trouble with 3. It was either going to be the original or the remake. I find I had to go with the remake. Original is Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but I went with the 93 Body Snatchers.
Did you just say 93?
Yeah, it was 93 it came out. The remake.
Yeah, that's the second remake.
Third remake. Yeah, sorry, the third version of the movie. Yeah, so the original, second remake, and then the third version. So
I was on board with you until you said 93.
Well, I enjoy it. I don't know. I just enjoyed the characters a lot more. I do like it's hard to say. I like the original a lot, but I did have to go with the remake just because the gore factor again, just to watching the bodies kind of decompose, kind of like the Blob thing. It just showed a lot better effects. And it was, the same type of thing. It was scary. Like, same thing. You're wondering who is turned and who's not turned. Kind of like The Thing. You just don't know who to trust. And I don't know. I just enjoyed the characters a lot more in that movie. Then we got like stuff like Donald Sutherland. Yeah, he was good as well during his time in that kind of role. But I don't know. The 93 Body Snatchers was my favorite out of all of them.
I'm not even sure if I've seen it.
It's got Army Kazarian. What's his name? Army Kazarian in it. He plays a military guy.
His name is Army Kazarian?
I can't think of his name
He
right now.
plays the military?
So I I almost put Invasion of the Body Snatchers on my list, but it would have been the 1956 version. I've not seen the 1993 one, but I absolutely love Invasion of the Body Snatchers, Kevin McCarthy, and the original one. Awesome movie.
Yeah, I just checked Letterboxd. I don't think I've seen it.
You have
I'm
to
gonna have-
watch it.
I'm gonna have to watch it before I tell you you're wrong.
You're welcome.
Have you seen the original?
Yes, the original and the 70s remake. I love those two movies. And I think the 70s remake has the funniest cameo of all time in it. What's his name from the original movie? McCarthy? Kevin McCarthy. He has a cameo in the 70s version, and he just runs up and slams into the car and he says something like he knows, like you have to watch yourself, and you feel like he's been running since the 1950s. Like he's the same character. He's known for 20 years, and he's trying to warn everyone.
Nice. I have no comment. I've never seen any of those movies.
Holy
The
shit.
subject matter just freaks me out.
Okay. Want to watch it?
No, I don't watch. I've seen it.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
I haven't
No,
seen the
new
remake.
It.
I've seen Killer Clowns. It's disturbing. It's watchable. Because they have nice colors. All right, Mr. Dulac, number 3.
My number 3. So my 3 and 2, I don't know. You could maybe switch them back and forth. I have a feeling I'm probably gonna have the oldest movie out of everyone here. I'm guessing because my number 3 is the 1935 The Bride of Frankenstein.
Oh my gosh.
So growing up, like I fucking loved Universal horror movies. And it's like then I turned into like a jaded piece of shit teenager and said those movies aren't scary. And then later on in life, it's like I rediscovered them. And Bride of Frankenstein is like the crown jewel of Universal horror. It's like the first Frankenstein movie is a masterpiece, and somehow James Whale came back and did Bride of Frankenstein, and it's even better. It's incredible. It's ahead of its time. It's like Boris Karloff is amazing in it. There's so much going on in that movie. Like Clive Owen's back as Frankenstein, but you also have the doctor. What's his name? I brought it up here because I knew I was going to forget talking about it. Dr. Pretorius. He's the one that wants to convince Frankenstein to make a bride for the monster, and there's like there's these. Like it's 1935, and there's like these homosexual undertones throughout the movie. Like you just can't believe they got away with in 1935. And like there's scenes you don't even expect. Like there's a scene where Dr. Pretorius comes up and he just starts taking jars out of a bag, and he's got these like people shrunk inside jars that have really nothing to do with the rest of the plot. And they up the ante with you feeling sympathetic for the monster when he meets the blind monk, and there's just so much going on. I love that movie. Like I love Universal horror, so this movie kind of represents all of that. But I find this is the greatest Universal horror movie ever made.
I think I have to agree as far as the Universal horror. So I'd say it was about 5-6 years ago was the first time I decided I need to watch the old Universal horrors. I had never seen them, and they are amazing movies. If any of you haven't seen them, Dracula, Wolfman, Frankenstein, The Mummy,
Cruise Mummy.
the Creature of the Black Lagoon. These movies are amazing, not just for their time. They're really good movies still today. But both Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein are probably, I would say those and The Creature from the Black Lagoon are my favorites.
I don't think I've ever watched any of them.
Really good.
They freak you out.
Probably should now. No, they don't freak me out.
That's okay. I haven't seen
Well,
them
they
either.
might. I don't know.
I'll come over and we'll watch them some night.
All right, deal, dude.
For Creature of the Black Lagoon, did you get a chance to watch it in 3D when it came out on Blu-ray?
No.
We watched. It's amazing how the 3D looks.
Really?
Like I was amazed by it. We watched it at one of our buddies that has a home theater system, and I was amazed at how good the 3D looked.
For a movie from what? I think that was like 1940 something.
Yeah, it was like one of the later ones, but still, like it looked amazing, and it's well worth it, especially the underwater scenes.
Yeah, I could see that.
So if you can find someone that has like a 3D TV that they don't make anymore,
I know. I'll go watch it. Nice. All right. So carrying on. I think is it Mr. Dulack's turn? Number 3?
no, we just talked about it. Bride of Frankenstein.
Frankenstein, that's right.
But it's
Carol
not
Rowe,
you.
did you go?
Is it your
Or is it
turn
me?
for number 3? I did my 3.
All right. Okay. Number 3. A Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 4.
Oh,
Oh, Dream Master.
Dream Master. Definitely the Nightmare on Elm Street movie I've seen the most. It's at least in the 30s or 40s. I love that movie. I like Freddy in it. He's cool. He's funny. He had a little sadistic. He acts like he's a shark. It's good stuff. And it's hard too because I do like part 3, like a lot. But I was like, you know what? I've seen more part 4, and that's the one that I could rewatch the most. So I went with that one. But I do think that 3 and 4 are really closely connected together, almost like the same movie.
3, 4, and 5 really tell one continuous story.
The story of Alice. Well,
I
Christopher
got-
said it now.
I can't say anything bad about that pick. Any Elm Street, I'd be happy with.
I
Well, that's
figured you
the-
wouldn't mind.
Well, that's the fun part about that is that they had a reoccurring hero. It's like Friday the 13th, where Tommy Jarvis was the hero. Well, not hero through it, but you saw this reoccurring character through all the movies, which tied them in, which was a lot of fun. And Nightmare did that as well with that character. And, it just made it more sequential. You always had the good versus the bad, and you were always trying to root for the good one to defeat the bad. And that's what they did. And it was really fun to watch. Like, I loved when they had that reoccurring role.
Yeah, and in Nightmare on Elm Street, they carried over because you had Nancy in 1 and 3, and then in 3 you had it move over to Kristen, and then Kristen moved over to 4 to Alice, and then Alice continued on until 5. So it was really cool.
Sorry, I got distracted for a second. My cat was throwing shit on the floor.
Oh, that cat. No respect.
So how much does the shark bit in the movie factor in?
It was a fin with his claws.
He's just
That's
fit.
all.
Yes.
Like
Then he
until
puts
you,
on the shades and just
But this
steps on
is-
her face.
because this is what we
Amazing.
always argued about. You always said number 4 was the best one, and I was like, number 4 isn't even in my top 3.
Or
And
is
it
the
never occurred. That shark bit never occurred to me until you mentioned it just now.
Well, now you know why.
Highlight of the movie.
Also, I find that number 4 has the most squeamish kill for me anyway. When he takes that woman that's weightlifting, turns her to a cockroach and then crushes her.
Yeah, that one's
was like-
disturbing.
That was disturbing.
Gross.
I find that, and when he does the tendons in part 3, when he marches like a marionette, that was disturbing too. That's a Gracie. Number 2.
Number
Let's go.
2. So number 2, 1968, Rosemary's Baby. So this one, I'm just going to preface Roman Polanski is a piece of shit human being, but he is an amazing director. That being said, for anyone who's read the novel, he basically filmed the novel. Like there's very little in that movie that wasn't from the source material. So if you want to give credit to Ira Levin instead, because you hate Roman Polanski, go for it. But this movie, like I remember the first time I watched it, it was just, it's so well done that, especially if you haven't seen it, this woman is convinced that her incredibly elderly neighbors are part of a coven for some reason. And the movie's shot in a way where you're really with Rosemary the entire time. So you don't see what's going on in other rooms and other houses. You only see what's going on in her world. So you don't know the entire movie whether or not she's just insane or is she actually right about this. So there's a lot of anxiety in this movie. Like if you, especially the first time you watch it, like rewatching it, you know what to expect. But that first time you watch it, that whole time you're really just, I don't know, is she crazy like everyone's telling her, or is she actually onto something and her old neighbor is really Satanist? There's something about that I really loved.
Well, I've never seen the movie. All I can figure out is that there's a girl called Rosemary and she has a baby. That's as far as I can get out of that.
That's pretty much the plot.
Yeah, I
like
love
the
that
movie
movie. It plays on the fact, like I have elderly neighbors, and I find it's very easy to think elderly people are part of a cult. Very easy. Yeah, that movie, it's a stressful movie to watch. Like there's a sense of dread throughout the movie. Like not much has to happen, and it just puts you like on your nerves.
Yep, I agree. Good pick. Good pick. Number two.
Number two, we already talked about was The Thing, the 82 version. I kind of already went over all my thoughts on it, but it's definitely a must watch repeatedly because you can pick out new stuff every time.
I want to change my pick. Okay, wait. So The Thing is a remake too.
Yeah.
So on your top 5 list, you have at least 3 remakes.
1, 2, 3 so far, yeah.
So far. Holy shit.
There's more.
I like upgrades.
Can't argue that. All right, Mr. Dulac, number 2.
So I didn't want to jump in saying that Alfred Hitchcock was one of my favorite directors too, because it might spoil my second pick, which is Psycho. I have lost count how many times I've watched Psycho. It's it's like you could call it the grandfather of slasher movies. The movie itself is just fucking amazing. Like even like it's famous for like the shower scene and the twist at the end, but the way the movie's constructed is just amazing. Having the balls to cast a known actress in the movie, and they treated it like she's the star of the movie, and then not even halfway through it's like, oh, she's dead now.
Love that.
And then all of a sudden you're fucking following Norman Bates around. Like Anthony Perkins is amazing in Psycho. And I've never watched a colorized version.
Vince Vaughn one?
No, actually I did see that. I saw that at the theater.
I wish I could forget it.
Jesus.
The only
Mine's number
Psycho
1.
I've seen was part 3,
What?
and I can't get myself to watch any of the other ones.
Psycho is an amazing movie, like a really good movie. My only nitpick about it, and I know this is going to anger Master Gracie and Mr. Dulac, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. That scene in the car, that car ride, is way too long.
Which one?
That's
When
my
she's
only
like
complaint about
driving to
the
the
movie.
hotel?
Yes.
Ugh.
I love that scene. And The Simpsons stole the music from that scene and use it almost every year in Treehouse of Horror.
It's a neat scene, but it didn't have to be that long.
They had to pad the runtime to be able to get distribution rights.
So I will say the reason why I rated The Birds higher than Psycho, and this is just for me, is actually part of what you mentioned. You have this person who you think is the main star of the movie, and she dies, what, about 20, 25 minutes in?
Mhm.
The only thing that did for me is it took me out a little bit because I invested into the new characters who came in. Although I think rewatching it the second and third time when I've seen it, you kind of get the point more like they're really just looking for her. So it's not so much about the characters, it's still about her. But that first time I watched it, I remember just like, what the fuck? Like, I was just like, what the hell happened? And I think for me, that's why I like a movie like Birds, where you have your hero and she's the hero throughout the whole movie.
Mhm.
I think that's the only reason why I like The Birds more than Psycho. But they're both, like I said, Hitchcock is one of my favorite directors. I haven't seen a bad Hitchcock movie,
No,
honestly.
apparently Brian has, but
Every
I don't know.
single one of them, all two, or
And-
one I tried.
I'm pretty convinced, I've never been able to find confirmation. I'm pretty convinced that the first Scream movie, them casting Drew Barrymore in it and killing her off at the beginning, is a nod to Janet Leigh in Psycho.
I would assume so, because I remember reading an interview with Wes Craven when he did Wes Craven's New Nightmare, and he talked about how he ripped off. There's a shot that Hitchcock's famous for in Vertigo when he's going down. It's that famous shot that he does,
Mhm.
and Craven ripped that off in Wes Craven's New Nightmare. And he talked about how much he loved Hitchcock. So I would assume what they did in Scream with killing off Drew Barrymore and putting her on the poster. Because again, you go
Because she
into
was,
the theater,
yeah, she was all over the marketing.
like I remember watching that in the theaters and thinking, well, she's not dead. Like you were gonna see her in the hospital, and then like it's cool. It's like, oh, Casey Becker's dead.
And I'm sure most of you guys have noticed, but so in Psycho, there's a character, Janet Leigh's boyfriend, his name is Sam Loomis. And in Halloween, you have Dr. Samuel Loomis. And then in Scream, the boyfriend's name, his last name is
Right.
Loomis.
They're all the same person?
Yes.
Billy Loomis got some work done.
They're all from the same family.
Pete Ulrich was in the original Psycho, Brian.
Yeah.
How many movies did Alfred Hitchcock make? What, he got 4 now? Jeez.
No,
Jesus Christ.
he's made like 40, 50 movies.
40 or 50 more than I've seen.
And he had a TV show.
Jeez. Oh, that's right. We had that silhouette and he walked into it with the weird music.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Holy shit. All right, who's next?
You are.
Number 2?
Mm-hmm.
Well, number 2, I'm going to go to the greatest horror figure in the history of cinema, my boy, Mr. Voorhees. And it is Friday the 13th, Part 6. Jason Lives. The movie that I've seen the most, other than Jaws. It is a fantastic movie. We get Tommy Jarvis again, kind of to Brian's point, where you had the hero that continued. And the fact that Jason comes back and it's his first time as a zombie with all these like super strength, superpowers. It's a great movie. I know the movie line by line. I always enjoyed it. and it's a movie that I could just keep watching forever.
And a good Alice Cooper video.
The great Alice Cooper video. Actually, right now in concert, he has Jason come out to this day when he sings "Man Behind the Mask."
He's gonna
I just
get
saw like a
fucking
recent
sued.
concert of his.
I've never heard of it. Is it a slasher?
It's a coming of age
Love
slasher
story.
drama.
I think I'd have a hard time ranking the Friday the 13th movies because I love the earlier ones where Jason's just I love the first one and I love the ones after where Jason is just a human. But I also love the zombie ones and I find it's hard to compare them. But I'll say for as far as the zombie era Jason, that I find that's the best movie. Part 6. Which isn't saying much, but Part 6 is actually a great movie.
It's awesome. And the ending when he's in the water chain, like that vision, I drew a picture of that during my childhood so much. It's actually Jason right up there who's chained like he's in the lake.
It's probably one of the greatest course corrections a horror franchise has ever taken.
You had to
Yeah,
after
definitely.
5.
Yeah.
So I'd say for me, number 4 is my favorite Friday movie. I love that one, but I also really love Crispin Glover. And his dancing in that movie is what makes that movie for me. And the
Yes,
fact
he
that
does have a great dance.
they danced to a different song than the one we hear makes it even better. Now I'm a bigger fan of Freddy. I like Freddy more than Jason, but the Friday movies are awesome. All of them. Even when they go off the rails and Jason goes into space and there's a Necronomicon and all the other stuff, it's still, I can still watch them. Because sometimes there can be a bad movie that's still kind of good. It walks that fine line of, again, Jason's in space and he goes through cryogenics and whatever, but somehow it's still okay. Like I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just nostalgia, but I really enjoy those movies.
He can do no harm.
4,
He's
6,
just too
and
cool.
7 are my favorite. 7 just because he looks so cool, decomposed and all that from Part 6. But I read something years ago because the original song in Part 4 they used, it's kind of been lost, but one of the cast actually said it was Thunderstruck from AC/DC. And when they play it, some people have done a dub where they played it and you can see them going. Crispin is hilarious at that dance, just making up something like that on the spot. Like you can just watch that on loop forever.
Yeah, I like his dance there, and I like the girl's robot dance in Part 5 as well.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So there's good dancing in the series.
She's amazing.
He dies.
All right, so we're going to move on to number 1.
Holy
Master
shit.
Gracie, we will give you the honors.
Before I go to number 1, I'm just going to give a couple quick honorable mentions because this was hard. I gotta say, Scream did not make my top 5, but I absolutely love that movie. I've seen that way too many times. We talked about like The Thing, and Invasion of the Body Snatchers. There's a lot of movies that really should have made my top 5, but my all-time favorite horror movie is The Exorcist, 1973. I've seen this movie way too many times. This is one that I usually end up watching a couple times a year, but we watch it every year on Halloween. This is my all-time favorite movie. Not movie, horror movie. Thing with this movie is it's also my favorite novel. If you like novels, if you like to read, this is one of 3 books that has ever made me turn on lights in my house. I don't scare easily, but for some reason, this really bothered me. And I am not a religious person at all. So I don't know what it is, but this movie, it's so well done. The thing that I think I really like about it is, unlike a lot of movies since then, you watch horror movies, some weird shit happens in your house, and they automatically go to it's haunted, there's a ghost, let's call a priest. Like they make that leap really quickly. Where in this one, you see them take that long stride. She goes to doctors, she goes to experts, they try medication, they try all these things, they try hypnotism. Basically, it turns into religion is the very last thing that they go to. It's that last step. I really like that progression of things are getting worse and she's just still trying everything else like a normal human being would do. If you or I started seeing that, I wouldn't automatically be like, call the priest. Like, no, I'm going to go see a doctor. I'm going to try medication. I'm going to try shit. But most movies don't do that. And I really love how they did this. The effects in it were awesome. The acting was awesome. Like, it was like Linda Blair was 12. She did an amazing job in that movie. It's just awesome.
Yeah, I think that movie scared the
Yeah,
shit out of a lot of people back then. It's a time, a different age where that was probably one of the first exorcism type movies, wasn't it? Where it kind of brought it to light, maybe, or at least it brought it more to light than anything else in it.
It might have
Really
been one of the
people
first.
freak out.
It was one of the it has to be the first mainstream one for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love The Exorcist.
yeah, it's an amazing
It's one of
movie.
It's one of the only only horror movies that I read the book of.
Really good book.
I'm gonna have to read the
Yeah, the
book.
book's really good.
Really cool.
Hey.
The book goes a lot more in depth on like the help that are in the house, like the butler and the his wife. They go, there's a backstory to them. There's a lot more information in that.
And also the origin of the demon and all that, like the
The
possessed
Zuzu.
Zuzu.
And
Zuzu.
Pazuzu's just fun to say.
Zuzu. Yeah, no, great movie, great pick.
Did you ever watch?
All right, Eternal Rogue. Oh,
Just one quick question.
oh,
Did you
no,
ever watch
Mr.
the
Gillette,
TV
sorry.
series?
Yeah. I only watched the first season. I enjoyed it for what it was. Like it's not as good as the movie. 100%. It's not. But when I knew it got canceled, I didn't bother watching the second season. So like it was good, but not great. It wasn't enough for me to go out of my way to watch it.
Yeah. The second season was pretty good. Let me ask you this, without I'm not going to spoil anything, but how did your enjoyment of the TV show change when a certain character revealed? That's all I'll say.
Feeling.
I had no idea when that happened in the TV show. I was completely blown away, and all of a sudden I was like, I like this show. I wasn't sure before. Now I like it.
And that's where, like, to me, I was like, okay, there's that connection now. I kind of get it. Because before it was just like it was in the same world.
Yeah, it was like.
But now, like, you really see that connection with the original, and that's why I got disappointed that they canceled it, because I was hoping maybe they would go a little more into what's happened since then, basically since 1973. So that's a long time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shit that could have happened. I'd kind of like to know a little more what happened there, and that's why I was really hoping to keep going.
And by Brian Kevin's faces, I'm guessing they did not watch the TV show.
Did not watch the TV show.
Did it have anything to do with the movie? Did it have any cast members in it?
Cast members, no.
Was it a continuation? Did they reference the movie?
Prequel? Sequel?
Maybe.
Requel?
Maybe not. You'll have to watch.
Not a prequel. It takes place in current time.
All right, Eternal Rogue. Number one.
All right, I got to
Asylum hit do you have?
He did his list of ones he had to throw away, so I'm going to do mine here as well quickly. So my throwaway list, unfortunately, I had vampires with James Woods. James Woods as a vampire hunter was friggin' hilarious. Him and his one-liners and his team, I don't know. I found it was a totally different vampire hunting movie. It's great. If you've not seen it, you definitely got to go out and hunt that down and watch it. It's hilarious. Another one I threw away was The Puppet Masters, which was
One with Donald Sutherland?
yes, I love that movie. I read the book 1,000 times, I think, and the book, it explained it a lot more. So I think I got a lot more out of the movie than what the movie gives to regular people. They haven't read the book, and I just enjoyed that one a lot. And the last one was 30 Days of Night, the one that we're in Anchorage, where it's all, vampires and you're secluded again. So it's kind of like the reverse thing, another seclusion and people are dying and they're trying to like hide from all these really real creepy vampires.
But the birds suck though, right?
Oh my gosh, it sucks so bad. Like I can go on just all night about just saying the word suck and it would not show how much that movie sucks.
If it would have been the Bats.
Oh, the Bats was a good movie. I like the Bats.
Who's your number
Anyway,
one?
My number one. I've watched this movie now probably close to 400 times. I kept track up to about 300, and that was about 10 years ago.
Right.
So I'm up to about 400 times now with this movie. I've read the novel countless times. This movie is something that since day one I've watched it, I had to watch it a lot. I watched it at the beginning for years and years, and then all of a sudden they came out with an extended special edition and they added a bunch of new scenes, and it made me watch it even more and more, made it more clear. Anybody pick up on it yet?
Aliens.
That up there. Yeah, it's Aliens, the second one with James Cameron. That movie is something I could never not watch. It just so well done. The acting, the characters, the story, the effects. It just pulls you in. It doesn't want to let you go. You're constantly in fear of, how are they going to get out? What are they going to do? And there's always something happening. Like, oh, crap, we got aliens all around us. Let's lock ourselves in. Oh, crap, they're going to come. Oh, look, this place is going to blow up now. How are we going to get out of this? Oh, crap, the ship blew up. And it's got full of one-liners. Unfortunately, Bill Paxton passed away, but he definitely was almost the second star of that show with all the goofiness he did in it. Cameron loves him in all his movies. He usually placed him in like some little scene of something that he had, but that movie to me is my grail of a movie. I just will love everything about that forever. It's just so well done. There's not one bad scene in that movie that I could say was bad.
I don't know. Seems more of a sci-fi movie to me.
Yeah, I know, but it's got horror.
I'm just kidding. This has to do with a conversation we had offline. No, I love Aliens.
Yeah, it's sci-fi, but it's still definitely horror too.
Maybe your top sci-fi list. I'll put that at the top as well, just to let you know. Spoiler.
I gotta say, James Cameron's a shit director. Aliens is a horrible movie.
Does anybody here like the first one better than the second one?
I think I'd have to rewatch them.
I might.
Anytime I've watched Alien or Aliens, I usually watch the two of them really close together. So I think, and it's been a little while since I've seen them, so I think my brain is kind of meshing the two together. So to be perfectly honest, I can't say 100% if I like number one or number two better, but I like both of them. I would have to watch them again to give you a specific answer.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, and that goes to James Cameron's credit, because he made a sequel, and I think he realized he was making a sequel to what is pretty much a masterpiece, and he realized he can't make the same movie. He has to do something different. And that's why I find it's hard comparing Alien and Aliens more than any of the other sequels. The other sequels pretty much just repeat what the two first movies did. Like the first movie is much more about fear and just what would you call it?
Isolation too.
Isolation, yeah. And the second one, James Cameron just flipped it over on its head and made like a horror action movie, really.
But it's nonstop. It just goes and goes and goes. Like you get this creepiest vibe of it slowly starting off at the beginning, and then as soon as they hit the planet and they start figuring shit out, it's over from that point. It just nonstop goes, and you're drawn in by everything. You just don't know how they're going to get out of this. Right up to the ending, you're like, oh, they're safe on the ship. No, you're not. Screw you. Queen's still wandering around. So you're right. He had to do something totally different. It's like watching him with Terminator and Terminator 2. Again, he made his sequel better than the original because, as you said, how can I make this a bit different?
Yeah.
Actually, guys, there's an interesting question in the chat, and I want to bring this up. KJ is asking, what is a better sequel, Aliens or T2?
Oh, jeez.
That's hard.
I'm going with T2
I
personally.
would go with T2. Terminator 2 is, as far as like action movies, is probably still to this day my favorite action movie ever made.
I think
Two
I'd
votes
have
for T2.
I think I have to go with T2, but it's fucking close. I think T2 is actually the first movie I saw multiple times in the theater.
I miss those days of going to the theater to watch a movie over and over again. That's like you're growing up. That's what you did. Now I do.
It was like $2 something on a Tuesday.
Yep.
Now you can't
I
even
did that with Spider-Man though.
now you can't even buy a pop at the theater for $2 something.
Spider-Man, I went to go see it 13 times in a
Sam
theater.
Raimi one?
Yeah, that's the first Sam Raimi one.
Everyone's saying T2. I'm gonna have to say Aliens just because, well, it is my favorite movie of all time, so I really can't say. But it is a close to T2 because that was a really well done movie. But Aliens, just because of the characters, they had more characters, and I loved all the characters in it.
And I think what's her name?
Sigourney Weaver.
Sigourney Weaver got nominated for an Academy. Like, I'm not joking. I think she got nominated for an Academy Award for Aliens.
I saw the Will Smith.
Yeah, but the Academy Awards meant something back then.
Oh,
True. Oh, Jada's coming for you.
But that's a
All right,
big
so
thing,
who
though.
moves-
Like, how often do you see an actor get nominated for an acting Academy Award in a horror movie?
Yeah, she was the nominee as a leading role. It won a couple things: best effects, sound effects, and visual effects. But yeah, she did win, which is I never knew that actually. That's new to me. I didn't know she was actually nominated for it.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, I've got some useless facts every now and then.
Even if they're not true, we'll just
Yeah.
on this channel, whatever we say is true. Hey, who is going with number one? We got Mr. July next.
I think it's me. So my number one is whenever someone asks me what your favorite horror movie is, if I don't think about it and just blurt it out right away, it's always this movie, Evil Dead 2, the mother of all sequels. I had Evil Dead 2 on VHS, and on the back there was a quote, and it said the mother of all sequels, and the credited quote was Bruce Campbell.
Well, you know it's good then.
But like you guys said, I love all the Evil Dead movies. I think Evil Dead 2 is my favorite one. I think I might have seen Evil Dead 2 before the first Evil Dead. And for me, like the character of Ash is like that's his perfect environment. Is Evil Dead 2. The first Evil Dead, he's not like Ash isn't really formed yet. Even though I fucking love the first Evil Dead movie, that would be my second favorite Evil Dead movie. Army of Darkness, I fucking love Army of Darkness, but it leans way more towards the goofiness. Evil Dead 2 is like the perfect balance of insane gore and comedy, and Bruce Campbell's Ash is perfect in Evil Dead 2 to me.
I have to agree. And like number two, you really get to see how actually charismatic Bruce Campbell is. Because
Yeah.
he carries that movie. 100% the movie is Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, like he's alone in the cabin for what, like almost half the movie.
Yeah.
Fighting his hand.
Chasing his hand.
Like laughing deer, laughing lambs.
Dead by Dawn.
Yeah,
So
the
that's-
over the topness of the comedy on that one really made it for me. Like the first one was just like total just horror. There was no middle ground. It was just total scare horror. And then the second one added that almost Freddy comedy started going into it. It was just over the top, and he is so good at his facial expressions and doing what he needs to get the scenes. And you can tell he went through hell. He got to do that in probably every friggin' scene to do that movie, and it comes across so well and so funny, and it just leads into the third one, which is just a continuation of that, which is so fun.
Yeah, like I think when I was younger and I saw that for the first time, and he attaches the chainsaw to his arm, I think at that moment, like young Dudok was just like, "This is the greatest film ever made." I did not know films could be this cool. And he's just such a funny character because he's brave, but was like a question mark at the end.
He's a normal guy. He works at S-Mart. He's just a
Yeah.
normal person.
And that's why
He
I
shot
like
smart.
the Ash versus Evil Dead so much, because I found it captured like the essence of Evil Dead 2 more.
Yeah.
And I can't believe Bruce Campbell thought that he wouldn't be able to act as Ash anymore. That he was too old. Like, fuck no.
You think he's done with it?
That show was great.
He could
Well,
be in anything and I'll watch it.
He says he's done.
But do you believe it? I don't believe him.
Well, I mean, he's how old is he now?
I don't think he's done if the decimal's in the right position.
Well, here's the thing: as much as we love Evil Dead, I don't think anyone is throwing a shit ton of money towards Bruce Campbell to play Ash in movies. And like he
To
made
be fair, I
Black.
don't think anyone throwing money at him to do it really any movie.
Yeah, like he did Black Friday. I like Black Friday, but he had a big part in it. He wasn't the star. I think maybe he might like seeing Bruce Campbell star in movies might be more rare now. Because I think he's enjoying his semi-retirement.
Oh no,
His
someone made a
Hallmark movies.
comment. KJ, old man Ash, why not? Yes, we got old man Logan. We need old man Ash sitting in a cabin with the shotgun, and you see him just like old man Logan, old man Ash. Yes, I
Oh.
want to see that.
I'd be there opening night. Sure.
All right, so I'm going to go with number one. So I couldn't pick Jaws because it's not a horror movie.
Jaws 4.
It's an action adventure.
Okay,
But I can pick Jaws
I'm
2
hanging up.
because Jaws 2 is considered an action adventure horror. So I'm going to go with Jaws 2. Jaws 2 is a great movie. I watched it countless times. I watched it before I watched the first one because it was on TV when I was a kid. And it's amazing. And the shark eats a lot of people. And I still have Roy Schneider there, which is great. So yeah, that would be my favorite horror movie. If I think of a movie that I can rewatch forever, that would be one of the movies.
Which one had the shark? Jaws 1 or 2?
They all had sharks.
Are you sure it wasn't
Jaws
a
2
glove?
had the shark that was
I think it
burnt.
was a glove in the sand.
That was Nightmare on Shark Street 4.
So you're not picking Jaws because you don't consider it a horror movie?
I don't consider it a horror movie, and mainstream media doesn't consider it a horror movie.
See, I personally would consider it a horror movie myself. I give you a lot of shit for Jaws, but really, it's a good movie. It really is. I haven't seen number 2 as much as I've seen number 1. I watched number 1 a lot. It's just a really, really well-made movie. Spielberg knows.
Oh, Jaws 1 is the greatest movie ever.
Spielberg knows what he's doing. He really does. There's no question about that. He has a really good track record. Yeah.
I would
Jade want to just comment, teeth of shit for the win.
How did Jaws die in part 2? Was that the one where he bit the electrical cord?
Yes.
So
He
just
was
down the
shocked to
trevor.
death.
Why did he eat the electrical cord? I can't remember.
He was
Because
hungry.
Roy Schneider pulled it out.
But he put bait on it?
No, he just like hit it with the paddle, and then the sound attracted the shark. And when the shark got close enough, he lifted it up.
So Roy Schneider
bit
could
into
go underwater, pick up this huge electrical cord, hold it in
The
the
boat
air
picked it up.
for the shark to eat, and he didn't die from the electrical discharge, but the shark did die.
Well, yeah, it's like a bird. If a bird lands on a wire, it's not going to blow up.
So you're comparing it to
Cut
Sharknado.
it to the wire.
So I was weirded out by you saying that it's not a horror movie because I remember arguing with you and I was like, on IMDb it says it's horror. And I just checked IMDb and it's the genre horror isn't there anymore. It just says adventure thriller. And on Wikipedia it says it's a 1975 American thriller film.
Yeah, it's a thriller, adventure, action.
So in my mind, and this is just me, horror is anything that's going to elicit a fear response.
Yeah,
And
Jaws is a fucking horror movie.
Jaws elicits that response from you as a viewer. There's fear. So I would say it's a horror movie.
I personally consider it kind of horror. If it didn't have all the character development, it would be more horror. I find because part two is just about the shark going after people. That's all it is.
Now it sounds like you're saying I would consider it a horror movie, but it's too good of a movie.
It is. It's too
So
classy.
it's not horror.
20%
Too
shittier.
classy.
And then
So it sounds like you're comparing Jaws to like Jason Voorhees, where he's like running through the water and he like teleports everywhere and shows up and kills people.
Ooh, he does teleport technically.
In Jaws 2?
Part 4.
Part 4. Part 4 he teleports all over the place.
That's what I think. Part 4. People always shit on it.
Yes.
It's a great movie.
No.
so
They're
Jaws
great.
Revenge is the first Jaws movie I ever watched.
Oh, no wonder you don't like it.
See, you liked it, right?
I did.
Because I know that you used to go rent it, and then I couldn't get it because it was out.
Because he had it.
Because we would go to the same video store. It's the one on Champlain Street near where I live. And I would rent Jaws the Revenge. And then when we would go back, I would rent Jaws the Nintendo game. And I would play it for 5 minutes. And because when you rented video games back then, you didn't always get manuals, right? So you had to figure out how to play. And I couldn't figure out what to do. So I would get frustrated and not play it. And then we would bring it back. And then like 6 months later, I'd be like, oh, this game looks fun. And I would rent it again. You have no idea how many times I rented that stupid game. And I only played it probably a total of 15 minutes.
It's an amazing game. It's
talking about
literally
Jumbo
right there
Jet?
on my shelf.
Maybe if I knew how to
It's-
play it, need instructions, man.
It's because you couldn't win. You didn't have what it takes to beat Jaws.
You mean a game genie?
I don't need a game genie for that. Only Friday 13th.
Oh, man.
And even at that, Friday 13th, it's so difficult to beat with the genie.
It is.
Insane. Oh, and honorable mentions for me would be Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Friday the 13th Part 7. Probably Friday the 13th Part 4. 1 and 2 are kind of crappy.
I'm really
Uh,
expected someone to mention Halloween at some point.
Oh well, I didn't do an honorable
good.
mentions.
5,
do
6,
some
7.
honorable mentions, Mr. Dulac.
So Halloween, me and Mrs. Dudek, we watch Halloween every year.
Christmas?
Yeah, at Christmas. And another movie we love, I wouldn't rank it in my top 5, but it's one of the horror movies I've watched the most because we watch it every year along with Halloween, is Trick or Treat.
Oh yeah.
Have you guys seen that one, the anthology, Anna Paquin's in it?
We only watched it for the first time this year. I'd never.
Oh, really?
Holy shit, that was good.
I downloaded it? Sorry, I didn't download it. I bought a used copy, but I haven't watched it yet.
Really
But
good.
I find the Sam Pumpkinhead thing guy, kid, whatever, creepy.
Oh, it's amazing. So we watch those two every year. Usually on I'm such a fucking geek. Usually we watch those two movies on Halloween Day, except if that October we're like marathoning the Halloween movies, or if we're watching like Halloween Kills came out this year, so we watch like Halloween and Halloween 2018 before Halloween Day because we wanted to watch them before the Halloween Kills. So I've been using Letterboxd for 10 or 11 years. So if you look on Letterboxd, I've actually watched that every single year since I've been on Letterboxd.
Oh, you're royalty on Letterboxd. I remember someone saying something about that. Celebrity.
Yeah, shut the fuck up. Four movies that I can think of off the top of my head for honorable mentions would be The Shining, the first Hellraiser, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and The Devil's Rejects. I think that's the most. I think that's the most modern movie I've mentioned.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
I'm a big fan. Like, he makes really weird movies, but I love what Rob Zombie does. Even like Lord of Salem's is a really weird, trippy movie, but it's still good.
And loving Rob Zombie is not easy in the horror community.
No, he gets a lot of hate.
Any group you go in, people flip the fuck out. Yeah, I love Rob Zombie. I gave money to his crowd fund for 31.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Another good movie.
He was going to do a remake of the Blob, but it didn't end up going through. I think he would have done an awesome Blob remake.
He's got the Munsters coming out now.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I guess it's going to be rated PG, which makes sense.
It does, but I'm really curious to see how Rob Zombie's going to do it.
Yeah. There's like no dialogue throughout because he doesn't know how to write PG dialogue. And I think that's all I can think of off the top of my head for honorable mentions. Going back to Friday the 13th, though, I'm the weird guy that I'm not saying it's my favorite Friday the 13th movie, but I really, really fucking love Friday the 13th Part 2. Sackhead Jason. Ginny, Amy Steele in that movie, she is by far my favorite final girl in the Friday the 13th movies.
It's been a while since I've seen number 2, I think. I need to watch that one again.
Kevin's making a face. I mean, DCompose is making a face.
I'm not a fan of the first 2 Fridays.
Really?
I don't hate them, but to me, Friday is Jason, the hockey mask. But I don't get that in the first 2.
2, 3, and 4 take place within like a week of each other. Like I think 3 and 4 are with like overnight, and 2 is like a week before that. So they're kind of like a really close together story if you watch 2, 3, and 4 together.
I know, like especially 3 and 4, like he's hanging, and then in the next movie they bring him to hospital. Like, which is cool. Like, I enjoy that.
I love watching number 3 now without 3D, and we get to see all the stupid, like, the yo-yos and the all the stuff like going towards the camera. Like, they really did not think about the home video market at all.
With Jaws 3D, the same thing.
And I've never been able to see the end of Freddy's Dead in 3D.
I saw it in theaters. I still have my glasses.
Yeah, me
I
too.
loved it.
The DVD that I have still, like, it's the one, it's that box set that came with the 3D glasses. So I watched it that way, but I lost my glasses, unfortunately.
And it's such a weird did any movie ever do that before where only the end of the movie was in 3D?
Not that I can think of. I don't know why they thought that we should just do it for 15 minutes, but
Budget. But it's funny when you see them pull out the glasses and they're
Probably.
like putting them on in the theater, and they're like, in the movie, you don't put them on yet, but in the movie, you're going to see a scene where they pick up the glasses like these and they're going to put them on their face, and that's when you do it. I'm like, okay.
You know, there's like 4 people in a theater that tried to do it the whole time, and like, I can't see shit.
Everybody does that. You go to any movie that's 3D, you're playing with the glasses. Avatar, you're like, oh, yeah. Everybody's playing with that shit.
It's true.
So I'm
All
surprised.
right, good show, boys.
I'm surprised out of all the movies that were named, there's only one I didn't see, and it was from Brian. Eternal Rogue. I'm not doing that on purpose.
Are you going to watch it, though?
Yes.
Good. You'll love it.
And then I'll shit on it.
so Eternal Rogue.
Like a bird
I'll
shits
look
on their
forward to
person.
Letterboxd to review.
Would you actually give The Birds or any Hitchcock movie a chance?
No, I really can't stand them. I tried.
Jesus Christ.
So can't. I'm not. That's not a. That's like a style. Whatever his style is, it's old. It's made for old people. It's non-exciting. It's just not for me. I can't stand to watch too slow-paced, boring stuff happen. I need CGI. I need entertainment. I need, creature effects. I'm more of a, if it's not a monster or an alien or a zombie, it doesn't really seem to fit my movie style.
Okay.
What do you think of Scream?
So for our next stream, we're doing our top 5 Hitchcock movies.
I'm up for that.
I only know 4 he's done from whatever you guys told me. I didn't even know there was more than that. The Bird, Psycho, and I don't know. That's probably it.
Like, for real,
Psycho's my favorite.
You should give Rear Window a chance.
Does he look out a rear window?
You ever see Disturbia?
No.
Disturbia is a shitty remake of Rear Window.
Yeah, my style. It's like B movies aren't some of your guys' style. Me, I live off that. Like, it's like candy to me. I'll watch that stuff nonstop.
No, we like B movies. We like good B movies.
Like,
I like the
Lethal
shitty ones.
Weekend,
The shittier the better. I love those things.
Slumber Party Massacre, Chopping Mall.
Oh, Loving Chopping Mall. That's a good one. But the ones from Asylum, those are my bread and butter these days.
Asylum films. What about the Scream remake?
Oh,
Or
shit.
requel, sorry.
Wasn't it a remake?
The requel.
Requel.
It's a requel.
Piece of crap.
Now I can actually hear and talk about it. I loved it.
Oh,
I loved it too. Eternal Rogue did not like it.
Are you okay, Eternal Rogue?
what a horrible, shitty movie that they had no originality in it. It was just a repeat of just all the other movies trying to cash in on legacy characters that they're like, oh, look, we've got all these great people. Let's try and do this movie. And like, for Wes is probably rolling over in his grave if he ever saw this piece of crap that nobody ever wanted to see or should never even been done because it was just horribly written, horrible characters. And it should have been dead on arrival. They shouldn't even have brought this piece of crap out. What a waste of time. I want my time back.
I'm so happy they greenlit Part 6.
Oh.
And they'll probably be in number 7 because they want to do it another trilogy.
Of course.
Dewey was
would've liked-
awesome. How can
I
you
would've
not like
liked it
doing that movie?
If they brought back the character there that got hit by the TV, there was always those things online where it was a rumor that
Dude.
he survived and he was going to come back. He was scarred up. I would have loved it at the end of the new Scream if it was him. I probably would have not have hated it as much if they brought him back as the secret killer.
You just complained that the movie was just trying to make cash off legacy characters.
I did.
And your way to fix it is
It
to
was a
bring a
full
legacy character.
If they were going to go, they should have went all out and brought back a legacy killer. They should have went that whole route, not just cheap out and have these. When they revealed who it was, I didn't even remember one of the characters. I'm like, who is that? Like, I don't even remember them in the movie. They just some girl. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't remember you.
Were you watching the movie?
Get off your fucking phone while you're watching movies.
Maybe knock my water bottle over. I'm so mad.
Because that girl was the best of the two murderers. She was amazing after you find out she's the murderer. She was fucking hilarious in the kitchen when she was.
How did she survive getting shot in the hospital multiple times in the chest? It was never explained. I'm assuming she had a bulletproof vest maybe, but she was shot point blank range 3 times in the chest and she lived without any injuries.
I think the people that made the movie assumed that if someone saw that, they would be smart enough to figure out she had a bulletproof vest on her.
Goes up at the convenience store. Oh, that movie makes me angry. Almost as bad as The Birds. Put Scream and The Birds together. Screaming birds.
Jesus Christ.
See how much respect I'm losing of Eternal Rogue as this goes on.
This life is for the birds. All right, any closing comments, Guy? Master Gracie?
Overall, good picks. I'm not gonna shit on anyone's list, unlike some people. This was fun. It was good. Let's do it again.
What should we do next time?
I mean, you could stick with movies. You could go into other stuff. What are your interests? Music? 1980s wrestling?
How would we do that? Like best wrestler of the 80s, best wrestler of the 90s. I can do best comic book. What's your favorite comic book issues?
I might not be
Your
involved in the
top 5.
comic book one.
You just need to read 5 comics.
And I'd be here just to shit on Eternal Rogue's picks.
They'd all be Silver Surfer.
Rejected.
That's all I got.
Eternal Rogue? Closing comment?
Oh, it was fun. I don't shit on people's stuff. I just give constructive criticism of things that I don't think need to be in the world.
He's a constructive feedback kind of guy. He has a clipboard. Mr. Dulac.
No, it was fun. Some movies I wasn't expecting.
I had a great time too.
Yeah, I had a great time too.
Hopefully next time it goes off without a hitch. That would be cool.
Technical difficulties, that's it.
I think it would have been easier to make a list of horror subgenres.
Yeah.
Like
if you
top
said
5 zombie movies, slasher movies, horror musical.
Black and white for Brian. Sorry, Eternal Rogue. Then he'd have to pick Psycho. All right, cool. So for those of you in the chat,
I'm picking out the worst B movie I could find and making you guys watch it.
I've seen Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Is it really the worst B movie though?
No, I got worse.
I don't know.
Sure, you have a curated like list of shit movies.
Yeah, I'm sure you have worse.
We should get together and watch some of those Eternal Road. We watched together was Blood-Sucking Freaks.
I watched that once. That was okay.
I liked it. Parts were hard to watch, but it's an interesting movie.
Was it the
Interest?
one Chris Jericho was reviewing with
Yeah, it's the one with Chris Jericho when it was on Joe Bob.
that was interesting.
I think he made it funner because Jericho was there. Make it less cringeworthy. All right, cool. So we are going to wrap it up. Thanks again for coming out, boys. Thanks to people who watched it. And thanks to the people who will watch this at some other point. Have a good night, guys. Later.